Hi everyone, so I'm going to talk about Trump's acquittal today in the impeachment proceedings and also what investors can actually learn from Trump more generally. Now, in terms of the impeachment proceedings, now this is not going to be a political video. I'm not going to say whether it was good or bad to impeach him or whatever, but it's clear the Democrats partially wanted to do this to weaken him rather than actually impeach him. And there was very few people actually thought he could be impeached. So it's kind of a political process, the same as what happened with Clinton on the other side. So this was more playing politics realistically than actually going to lead to him being impeached. Now, the interesting thing is, though, people, again, just like the coronavirus, which I mentioned a few videos ago, a lot of people tried to predict the stock market on this. But again, you can't really do that. I mean, during Clinton's impeachment process, the market went up because the market was having a good period in general. Under Nixon's impeachment, the market went down, but the market was having a bad period in general. You can't look at these kind of things and predict in advance. So the fact that markets went up under Trump's acquittal doesn't mean anything. It just means that markets in general are having a fairly good time, not going up every day, but that's the general trend is upwards. Now, the interesting thing though about Trump is this: even though a lot of people think he's not particularly the best business person in the world, there's a lot of speculation about how much his money would have been worth had he invested his dad's inheritance in maybe other things. And of course, he has needed to be bailed out by his dad a few times, or at least once. I do think there are certain things about Trump that he understands intrinsically about things like marketing and also general life, which can be applied to investing. I mean, the funny thing is, every time there's been a scandal involving him, people have said, oh, this is the end of him. So from the first time he caused a scandal, people wrote him off. And he said, well, his reputation's done now. But I think Trump does understand something, and that's this. Today's scandal is often tomorrow's newspaper headline. In other words, you could be eating your fish and chips on fish and chip paper, which is full of scandals from 5 or 10 years ago. We forget these things. There's a cycle. There's anger, acceptance, and then people kind of forget about it. So when he says these kind of ridiculous things, people get angry, right? Or some people get angry. Then they kind of forget about it over time. And I think you have to realize, though, and this is neither praising Trump or criticizing him, it's just a fact of life, that a lot of these things, like the virus, like Trump's election, or all these things, it's just headlines. It'll all kind of go away. I mean, put it in a different context, right? Go back 5 years or 10 years, read the news, type in something like BBC, January 2015, or The Guardian, 2003, or whatever, and read some of the scandals on those newspaper headlines. And what you'll find is scandals come and go, and all the time the general trend is up. Now sure, there's some big crashes, there's some ups and downs, and we never know when they'll come, but the general trend is upwards. But it's not exactly a smooth ride, it's a bumpy ride, right? And when you understand that, both in business and investing, you can put things into perspective. Because what a lot of young people do is, and relatively young people even, is they don't put things in perspective. I mean, one of my favorite quotes, which I've told you before, is the quote that, when you're 20, you care about what everyone thinks. When you're 40, you stop caring about what people think. And when you're 60, you realize no one cared in the first place. Some people said Winston Churchill said that. Other people say he didn't say that. But anyway, Trump's, 71 now. He's worked out something, that these things just come and go. So for you as an investor, or even if you have a private business, don't overreact to anything. And now, if markets are going down 30% or up 30%, stay calm. If you've got a private business and a client complains, it will blow over. And you could use that for anything in your life, right? Things just blow over. So always remember that today's scandal, it may as well be tomorrow's fish and chip paper. Never engage in superlatives like, oh, things are never going to be the same again. So in another year or two, I very much doubt we'll even be talking about things like the virus or Trump's impeachment. I mean, just look at the news 1 or 2 years ago, right? 1 year ago, or just over 1 year ago, people are worried about the government shutdown. They're worried about stock markets falling 20-30%. They're worried about North Korea, a war with the United States, a hot war with the United States, nuclear war. People saying, oh, well, is the world going to end and all this stuff? Now we don't even remember this. So in 2022, never mind 2030, we're not even going to remember half of these so-called scandals. So always remember that. Keep it in mind that the media, whatever bleeds leads, they make a profit. The news by general means new things. And they, as I think it was Forbes, Steve Forbes or some big media titan, he said, we rely on the newspaper industry and the TV industry, the media in general, on people's short memories. That's not the exact quote, but he did actually say, I should have actually got the quote, that basically it's profitable to give short term advice which kind of plays on people's emotion, because naturally people just move on to the next scandal, but they don't remember that they moved on quickly from the next scandal. So the point is, when it comes to your money, whether it's investing money, whether it's your own business, always remember, don't take things so seriously. These things just blow over.